Hey everyone, I am back here with my college football Week 8 picks and score predictions. Guys, the season keeps on ramping up. We have some of the biggest games of the year on deck this week. This past week, and I should say, quite the slate. Unfortunately, only went 4-4, but still have not had a net negative picking week overall yet, so that's good. Let's go ahead and keep that streak up. I think I had a couple of those types of weeks last year, so I'm trying to avoid that. Didn't do a surefire pick last week. I'm going to do one this week. If you guys are new to the channel and have not watched these videos yet, I go over roughly 7 to 9 games, the more important ones or more interesting ones. And also, too, I've been doing a surefire pick, one lock of the week, basically, no matter what it is, either the line or the over-under. I'm 3-2 on those. I'm on a 3 surefire pick winning streak, so that's good. But either which way, let's get to it. Really tough slate this week to pick, man. A lot of these games are toss-ups I'm about to talk about, so just bear with me here. Hoping to have a positive record this week in picking. If that's the case, then I call it a win either way. Picking fairly well this year. I would say I'm doing better than last year, honestly. I'm going to have to go through the record overall after this week and update it. Without further ado, let's get straight into it. Starting off with a bit of a banger here, in my opinion. We got Louisville versus number 6 Miami. Miami is a 4.5-point road favorite, and Miami is fortunate to even be in the spot. The last 2 weeks have been very close calls, some of the closest calls I've seen in recent memory of the team. And Miami has just been lucky. The ACC, I think, wants Miami to be undefeated, honestly, at this point. Cal gave up a huge lead 2 weeks ago. Bye week, Miami's rested, but they're back on the road here in Louisville. Louisville ain't a pushover, but they haven't looked very good either the last couple of weeks, defensively especially. Offensively, they're doing just enough, but couldn't quite get away from Virginia. I thought that was quite alarming. I think this should be a higher scoring game. I like Miami to score 40+. I think Louisville's defense is honestly not that good, and I was worried about that earlier in the season. I think the first sign of that came against Georgia Tech, where they got outgained in that game, but they still won by 12. Miami is the number 1 passing team in the country, and arguably the best quarterback in the country, Cam Ward. I've seen some people pick Louisville to win. I can't get behind Louisville. I think the Miami run defense is still on paper, Miami's run defense is one of the better ones in the country. I think you can throw on Miami, though. I think you can throw on this team a little bit. So, Miami's defense isn't completely invincible. I think Louisville should have some success in the air, but their ground game might be a different story. Rematch of last year, Miami revenge game. We'll see how it goes. Next up, number 16 Indiana, Nebraska. This is a very good game here, folks. This is going to be interesting. Hopefully the crowd turnout's great, man, because it's great to see IU 6-0 for the first time since 1967. Yeah, you heard that right. IU is a almost touchdown favorite. I think that's a little too much, personally. I know Nebraska's offense isn't the flashiest or the greatest, but this Nebraska offense, when it gets on a roll, it can be tough to kind of stop Dylan Raiola, but I think the focal point is going to be Nebraska's defense. Nebraska's defense it'll be the toughest that Indiana's faced all year, and I've been curious as to how this Indiana team is going to respond once they face these tougher teams this year. Both quarterbacks for IU and Nebraska in drop-back situations, they're not as good throwing the ball. Their percentage has dropped considerably in terms of pass completion percentage. So pass rush will be a key point in this game. Indiana's offense, how does it move in this one? Curtis Rourke has thrown the ball very, very well this year. Tough one, man. Here in IU, though, I'm going to have to give the slight edge to Indiana. I thought about taking Nebraska in an upset because I can really see it happening. But I haven't liked Nebraska's offense lately. Now, I know they faced Rutgers in the previous game, and Rutgers' defense has been pretty solid this year at least. But on the road, I can see it. Nebraska's got Ohio State next week, and Indiana plays both Michigan and Ohio State in November. Curt Cignetti, the coaching, I think the coaching advantage slightly goes to Matt Rule, but this is going to be very interesting. I have the under. I feel kind of confident on the under. I think we're going to have some stalled-out drives in this game, especially at times, so we'll see. Indiana's pass defense, I think, will get tested heavily here. I think they'll fail at times, too, because they haven't been tested much from a powerful offense besides Maryland, and Maryland put up 28 on them. Oh, brother. This game is just straight up ugly, and the kickoff time is so weird, of course. Gotta have a strange kickoff time for an ugly-ass game like this, everybody. We have the Oklahoma Sooners versus the South Carolina Gamecocks. Whatever. I'm just being weird at this point. My immaturity level can get quite high sometimes, but that's just me, you know. Gotta live life, right? Oklahoma's down to a 1.5-point favorite, and I'm not shocked by this at all. Oklahoma is severely injured on offense. Like 5 receivers are absolutely just struggling to try and get back in the fold. Like Jaleel Farouk and Jaden Gibson. Burks, I think, might be coming back. We'll see. But, man, they're sticking with Michael Hawkins. Oklahoma early against Texas found a way to kind of slow down Texas there. Got the turnover, couldn't do anything off of it. Oklahoma's defense is still their calling card. South Carolina, man, South Carolina's had some heartbreaking losses this year. LSU, just recently at Alabama. South Carolina should have beaten Alabama. They absolutely should have had it, man. They had the lead there in the second half at times. What concerns me is South Carolina's protection in the pocket. Lenore Sellers gets sacked at least 4 times a game. Like they're getting sacked a bunch, they're turning it over a bunch. But when South Carolina is keeping the ball in their hands and playing clean, this South Carolina offense is kind of frisky. That's what's dangerous about them. And that South Carolina defensive line is scary good. Like, they are very good on the defensive line. Oklahoma, though, has been taking better care of the ball than South Carolina. Turnover battle might be the main thing to consider in this game. And I'm going Oklahoma, and I like the under. I'm locking this in as my surefire pick of the week. And then guess what's going to happen? They're going to go over. So there is no reason for this game to go over. It has no business doing it. Oklahoma has no offense. South Carolina can score a little bit. I know that. I know. But they're facing it's one of the top defenses in the SEC. I mean, let's not get too big about it with South Carolina's offense. I mean, I think this offense is going to really struggle. Alabama's defense, I think it's kind of mid in spots, in ways. I think this is going to be a struggle fest. South Carolina, I think, loses another tough game, close one. I thought about taking South Carolina, but I think Vegas wants you to take South Carolina because of what's going on. But Oklahoma favored. If it was at South Carolina, I would absolutely pick them, no question. Next up, and gosh, of course I did that. I did it, of course, whatever. I was struggling to try and this game is so hard to predict, and don't fast forward it. Yes, I have Alabama somehow winning this game. This game is very important. This is a big game, guys. The loser of this game, chances are, might miss the playoff. Honestly, they have a better chance, I think, of missing the playoff if they lose. Big rivalry. These two teams, have an extensive rivalry. Alabama's dominated Tennessee for years. Tennessee finally beat them in 22 in that high-scoring classic. Alabama's a 3-point road favorite, and man, I can't trust either team right now. Tennessee hasn't moved the ball very well. It's been more of the run game kind of showing up, especially. That's it, really. And Nico's done nothing. Alabama's undisciplined. They're penalized so much. I don't trust Milroe either. They're turning over the ball a little bit. They're fumbling it. The sacks are getting kind of problematic. I don't know, man. But when Milroe's on point, he's so hard to stop, man. Alabama on the road, too. It's kind of... Alabama's been starting slow in some of these games. South Carolina, they did start off 7-0 in the first quarter. They were up 14-0, actually, so they were holding their own actually pretty well at home before South Carolina decided to roar on back in the game. Tennessee's defensive front has been very good this year. I do wonder about that secondary. I think the secondary is not as good, honestly, as their defensive front. And they lost their main tackler for the year. He's done. Their linebacker, who was their leading tackler, he's gone. He's hurt for the year, for the season, I should say. Man, this game could go either way. For some reason, I have a weird feeling Alabama will pull this win out of their ass. I don't know how. Rocky Top should be firing on all cylinders. This is just a game where I just feel like Alabama wins for some reason. But then again, this is not the Nick Saban era anymore, and I don't quite trust this team in general. Their disciplinary issues could come back and hit them. Does Josh Heupel get this offense rolling? Does this offense get rolling in this game for Tennessee? I think it could. I think Alabama's secondary is kind of mid, honestly. Alabama's run defense, I mean, they're ranked 62nd, I think. I don't know, man. This hasn't been an elite Alabama defense. Man, I really don't like this pick. Whatever. Moving on. Number 22, Illinois. Number 24, Michigan. A lot of people are picking Illinois. A lot of people think Michigan shouldn't be favored, seems from the sounds of it. Listen, man, why are we even boasting Illinois? I don't really think this team is incredibly good. I mean, their defense is what has that is a big reason why they got them to this point. It's got them to this point, I should say. Last week, though, Illinois was in a shootout, which made 0 sense. Oh, I don't want to say made 0 sense, but that was interesting because Purdue has been the worst Big Ten team this year pretty much, and Michigan has a quarterback problem. They lost to Washington, and man, I don't know, man. This matchup is similar to Washington in some ways, but not. You know, Illinois cannot stop the run. Michigan's going to run wild in this game. I think that's going to be one of the main reasons of a possible Michigan win. And it's screw it. I am picking Michigan. Michigan's favored for a reason on the road. They weren't favored against Washington. Vegas knows what they're doing, and I trusted Vegas against Washington, and the dividend there paid off. So why should I go against the odds makers? And I know, Illinois can win this game. But Luke Altmaier is not Will Rogers, man. I don't think this Illinois offense is incredibly gifted. They've had some flashes at times. Like last week, they had to throw, obviously, and he played well, obviously, because they had to score. Purdue has no defense, so Michigan can't stop the pass. They can stop the run, though, at a high level. I don't know. This is a tough one, man. Give me Michigan. I don't care. If Michigan wants to have the best amount of success, either start Jack Tuttle or get Alex Orji moving the ball more. I don't know. Don't start Davis Warren because he turns it over like a damn turnover. It's a turnover fest with him. So moving on, Arizona, Colorado. This is another tough game. Of course, every single game this week's been tough. Arizona's favorite 3. And do you trust Noah Fifita? Because I really don't, to be honest. This dude keeps throwing interceptions like it's freaking Christmas every single weekend. Hey, buddy, Christmas is in December, not October, not November. It's in December. Gifting turnovers to the other team every single weekend, like Santa Claus's big bag is flying around giving gifts to everybody. It's like, what are we doing here? What has happened to this team? This team last year was good, and they're not. I don't get it. I don't get it. And part of it, I would say especially, is the coaching, because they lost Jet Fish to Washington. But come on, man. And I know coaching, that's not going to always be the case. I don't know. I really can't explain it to you. Colorado is coming off of a close loss against Kansas State. Travis Hunter may play. He has a shoulder injury. I don't care if Travis Hunter is going to play, really. Colorado, really, people are really buying this team. There's a bunch of people betting on this team in this game, and that's why the line's dropping, especially. Arizona was favored 5, I think, and now they're down to a 3-point favorite. I really don't trust Colorado in this spot, man. Arizona's defense is not the greatest, but their pass defense at times has been solid. I've noticed in terms of just looking at some statistical numbers, comparing things. If Noah Fifita can just stop throwing interceptions, I think Arizona can play fairly well in this game at home. And I know when we talked about this game, when we talked about Arizona playing against Texas Tech, it was like, okay, does Texas offense get rolling here? With this lack of Texas Tech defense, can Arizona move the ball? The short answer was no. They struggled still, which is concerning. Fifita, just do what you did against New Mexico. Throw it to McMillan, but then again, McMillan, if Travis Hunter plays, McMillan will be covered by Hunter, but McMillan's a great receiver, whatever. Run the ball. Let's run the ball, Arizona. How about we run the ball? Quali Conley, get going. Arizona's going to win this game. I just have a strange feeling Arizona wins this game. I don't know. I thought about picking Colorado in analytics. ESPN analytics like Colorado, but in this thing I'm using, a college ball simulator, which I think is pretty decent, I'm just using it as an extra tool. I'm not really going by it all completely. They like Arizona quite a bit, actually. And I think Colorado is a team that, I don't know, man. Their defense isn't really that good, in my opinion. They can't stop the run, and I don't think they can stop the pass either at time. Really. I mean, you've seen it. Kansas State was able to move the ball at will on them. I mean, the reason why Colorado, for instance, beat UCF was because UCF had 4 turnovers. So, yeah, Arizona's got to. If Arizona turns over the ball, Colorado absolutely will win this game. There's no question. Don't know. Strange game. Moving on. Biggest game of the week, arguably of the year. We had a great top 3 matchup last week between Oregon and Ohio State. This week, it's the football gods are presenting us with number 1 Texas and again number 5 Georgia. This line's getting ridiculous. 5 points. Listen, I know Texas has played very well this year, but they've played nobody. And I mean nobody. Oklahoma had an early opportunity to get on Texas, failed miserably, and then Texas was able to course correct and smoke them. Quinn Ewers is prone to turning it over sometimes. I've noticed this. It was his first game back, rust. Obviously, he's going to be rusty. Georgia, boy, this team has a culture problem, and I've heard people mention that. It's true. This team's got problems. This defense hasn't been as good in years past. They're giving up big plays. They can't stop a lot of things. Alabama torched them. I wonder if they were sleepwalking against Mississippi State. I'm not sure. Hard to tell. Mississippi State dropped 31 on them. The Georgia offense is still there. I think Carson Beck's still playing well. Excuse me, sorry about that. By the way, Kirby Smart should be suspended at the very least. Putting your hands on another team's player. I like to see you try to put your hands on a Texas defensive lineman, for instance. See what happens. I mean, obviously, you can't put your hands on coaches. They're going to be in big trouble. But still, Kirby Smart just thinks he could put his hands on people now and just get away with it. It'd be nice if he got, knocked some sense into him, honestly, at this point. Because that just Georgia team, they're unrootable. How can you root for this team? Texas. Can we trust them at home? I really don't know. I think Texas's defense, they have been dominant so far. But again, they have not played an offense to the caliber of Georgia's. I don't know, man. And Steve Sarkisian, I don't trust Sarkisian in big games. Don't trust him, honestly, these bigger games. I don't know, man. I have a weird suspicion, and a lot of people, I know some of you are not going to like this. My gut instinct tells me Georgia's pulling off the upset. I tried this with Alabama, and here's the thing. Georgia could have won that game. Had Alabama not jumped to a 28-point lead, that game would have went differently, probably. And look where Alabama's been ever since. Alabama has not looked the same. I think Georgia knows what they're in for. Texas hasn't played a team like Georgia. A lot of people are just saying that Texas will win just based off of how Georgia's looked, and I get it. But some people are picking Georgia, but not a lot of people. A lot of people are picking Texas, and I understand public favorites. Sometimes you just got back to public favorite, like I'm doing with Alabama. But you really think these teams are going to go off quietly into the sunset, really? Do you really think so? I don't know, man. I might pay for it. Georgia screwed me over already once. They screwed me over again. I think I'm done talking about this team for the year. I don't know. I know Georgia plays Tennessee later in the season, but I mean, come on. And Ole Miss, whatever. Georgia's going to win this game. You think Kirby Smart's going to let his team go 5-2? I don't think so. Texas is losing. Have a weird feeling about it. It was either Georgia was going to lose to Alabama or lose to Texas. That's what my thinking was. My thinking might be wrong, obviously, but it is what it is. Thank you guys for watching. Tough video to go through. That was painstaking, honestly, but hopefully these picks go well, and I'll see you guys in Week 9. And also stay tuned for college basketball content. I have a video that's going to come out next week with college basketball, talk about the preseason poll, and kind of who I like this year. So looking forward to college basketball. Can't come soon enough. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.